Hi, I am Alberto Calva from Accus Consulting. What I do is corporate finance and corporate strategy for companies, for businesses. But something that has called my attention always is how to use all these tools and all this knowledge that we have to analyze the personal situation and to help the individual persons, people like you and myself. So today I want to talk with you about personal strategic planning and let's see how this can help you. Okay. Let me start with an idea. No matter what you do, in 10 years, 10 years will have passed and you will be 10 years older. Yes, it doesn't matter what you do. You can do something or you cannot do anything. Anyway, in 10 years, 10 years will have passed. And you and myself, we are going to be 10 years older. But there are three questions here that are important. First one, will you be better than today? In 10 years, will be better than you are right now? Will you be where you dream to be? Will you be closer to that ideal situation that you once thought? And most important, are you going to be happier in 10 years? Most people have a life in which they are a consequence of what is going around them. This is, most people do not have control over their lives. They are a consequence of what's going around them. So few people do whatever they have to do to take control over their lives, and most important, to have a control or a definition of where they want to be in the future. So this is what we are looking for. Take control of our lives and be able to define where we want to be in the future. This is why strategic planning is so important. And we are talking about personal strategic planning. So let's go to the process. Strategic planning, what is it? Well, strategic planning, first of all, it has to do with long term. Yes, it is not planning where we want to be in a month or in a week, not even in a year. That could be tactical planning, operational planning, but it's not a strategic planning. A strategic planning has to do with long term, at least 10 years. It has to do of where we want to be in the future. What are your goals? Where do you want to get? And most important, what is it that you have to do today to be in that position in the future? Many people think that planning is just thinking about the future, analyzing the future, dreaming about the future. No, actually, planning is defining what is it that you have to do today in order to be able to be in the place where you want to be in the future. It is a comprehensive analysis of each of us. We want to analyze all aspects from ourselves. It has to do with our strengths and weaknesses. Everybody, each of us is strong in some things and is weak in some things. But we want to define which are our strengths and which are our weaknesses and work with them. It has to do strategic planning with the definition of purposes and objectives. And how are we going to reach them? And to define the right strategy and the right action plan to get where we want to be. So, if the strategy is clearly defined and the action plan is correct, the chances of success in life and the chances of being happy increase. There is no way to guarantee success. There is no way to guarantee any output, even if you do strategic planning. But if you do strategic planning, and most important, if you do strategic planning as a process, as a way of thinking, the chances will increase of being successful in life and being a happy person. Okay, let's go about strategic planning, personal strategic planning. And the first thing is that we have to define the strategic direction. And everything starts here with something that we call the vision. The vision, I will say, is the dream, it's the ideal situation. So, first thing is, how do you dream yourself? How do you imagine yourself? What's the best scenario that you have for yourself? And one way of thinking about this, imagine that you get into a social gathering, but you get there as an invisible person. This is, nobody can see you, nobody can listen to you, but you can see the people, and most important, you can listen what they are saying about you. How would you like to see others talking about you? How do you want to see others defining who you are? That's your dream. That's what we dream in our lives, where we want to get. And it's very valid that we all have our own dreams. The dream, the ideal situation, is what we call the vision. So, first of all, we need to establish and define our vision. Where do we want to get? Don't be afraid of doing this exercise. Everybody has a dream. Usually, the vision is never achieved. I would say that very unlikely that someone will someday achieve his or her vision. But it is the motivation that we have each and every morning to wake up and work hard because we know where we want to be. Once we have the vision, we have to establish our objectives. Where do we want to go? And objectives need two characteristics. They have to be measurable in quantity and measurable in time. If you cannot measure an objective in quantity and in time, then it is not an objective. It's a good intention, it's something that you would like to do, but it's not an objective. It has to be, you have to be able to measure that. For example, you must say, I will finish my graduate studies in 2 years. I will learn another language and I should be proficient in that language in 3 years. I'm going to exercise myself. I'll start running and I should be able to run 10 kilometers in 1 year. Whatever you want, but they have to be measurable in quantity and time. Objectives must involve an effort. If you don't need an effort, you don't need to effort yourself to achieve the objectives, that means that you already are there. You don't have to change anything, you don't have to do anything. But also, objectives must be achievable. This is, don't set objectives that are impossible to achieve or extremely difficult to achieve. I mean, you're going to set objectives and then you do another objective in 5 years. So, I mean, start slowly, but get objectives defined. Set your objectives for 1, 5, and 10 years from now. Where do you want to be at that time? Where do you want to be in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years? But very important, objectives are not only professional objectives. They are only part of the objectives. Probably more important, you have to be able to define objectives in your life, your health, your education, economic objectives, etc. All objectives are important. Maybe some are more important for you than others. It doesn't matter. But get a piece of paper and a pen, sit down and start writing down your objectives. Where do you want to be in 1, 5, and 10 years? Now, once you have this, we have to go to the action plan and you have to see here strengths and weaknesses. So first, your strategic position. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? We are all strong and weak in certain things. That's natural. And it is easy to identify our strengths. Usually, we do not have too much problem with that. We know where we are good. We do know that. But usually, it's difficult to recognize our weaknesses and it's difficult to accept them. And this is normal, it happens to everybody. So, what do you have to do with this? First of all, you have to take once again a piece of paper and a pen and write down your strengths and weaknesses. Then look and get together with your friends. Ask your friends, where am I strong? Where am I weak? What would you say are my strengths and my weaknesses? Then look or get together with that person that was your boss in a previous job. And now you really have a good relation with that person. Sit down with him or her and ask him or her, where is it that you see my strengths and my weaknesses? You can also ask a client. We all have clients with whom we have very good relationship. They are nearly our friends. So that client, sit down with that client and ask him or her, where is it that I am good and bad? Give me my comment about the strengths and weaknesses. Once you have this, you have to take your strengths and you have to change them into a competitive advantage. You can be strong in something, but if there is no one else out there, is there no company, no industry that thinks that that strength is important, it's not a competitive advantage. So your strengths have to be marketable in some industry or group of companies to be a competitive advantage for you. Okay? Consider that your competitive advantages you have are probably not desired by your present employer. But it doesn't mean that there is not other companies out there, other clients that would like to have someone with your competitive advantages. Now, action plan, differentiation. That differentiation is to offer an added value that is perceived as such by the client. When I said client, I mean the employer or client. If you work for a company, then it's your employer. If you have your own business, then it's your client. So differentiation is having something that the client is going to see as a value added. They have to perceive it as that. It's not you who has to perceive it as a value added. It has to be the client who has to perceive it as such. Now, a larger differentiation, the larger the differentiation it is, it's easier for you to set the price and you can set whichever price you want. If for some reason you have such a differentiation, if you add such a value that nobody else can add to a client, then you can charge whatever price you want. Obviously, it is difficult to achieve the differentiation. It's difficult to be able to get and to define that differentiation for yourself. But perhaps, probably even more difficult, is to maintain it later. So, yes, you have to be able to achieve that differentiation, and then you have to be able to maintain it. Obviously, when other people see what you are being able to do with that differentiation, they'll try to imitate you, and you must be able to maintain that differentiation. Differentiation is not only being different. As I always say, if you get with your hair painted in green, that makes you different. But that initially does not add value. That doesn't mean differentiation. Okay? So it has to be not only being different, but it has to be something that add values. Action plan. What are you going to do to achieve everything? What resources do you need? So probably you have them, probably you don't have them, but you'll need to get them. What should be the part where you have to pay attention to. There's always something where you should pay attention more, and you should give importance to certain things. Even sometimes it will seem that we are not paying attention to things that are not we're not paying attention to things in the short term, but maybe we don't care about that because we're thinking in the long term. So one thing that's very important, if at some point you need to change the plan, but do not change the goal. This is definitely, things are going to change around us. Things are evolving in a different way than what we thought they were going to evolve. And very likely we'll need to adjust or change the plan. Do it, but don't change the goal. You set your objectives, okay? Keep working to achieve them. Let me finish with two ideas. First, ask yourself, would you pay to do the work that you do today? Yes. If they told you that you could keep working where you are working, but now you have to pay for what you are doing, would you do it? If the answer is no, then you have to start looking for another job right away. This is, the job has to be so interesting for us. It has to fill us with happiness. It has to be always a challenge for us. It has to be a place where we are learning, that we would be willing to stay there even if they wouldn't pay for us. But obviously, the ideal job is that besides that, we are going to be charging and we're going to get something in exchange, a payment in exchange for our job. But initially, if you were not willing to pay for the work you're doing today, you need to start restructuring and finding another job. Remember three things. An idea without a plan is not going to get you anywhere. There are lots of people with lots of ideas. They don't go anyplace. Okay, you need a plan. Now, a plan without action will not be a reality. So once again, the plan is there, but you have to execute it. And actions involves risk. The higher your goal, the higher your dream, your action will very likely involve more risk. So you have to be ready for that and be ready to take the risks. It is easier not to do nothing. But if you don't do anything, then do not complain later that you are the consequence of the decisions of other people, or that you are working for other people. Or worst of all, don't complain that you are working hard to help other people fulfill their dreams, but you are not able to achieve yours. This is why a personal strategic plan is important, and a personal strategic vision and way of living is important. I am Alberto Calva from Accus Consulting, and I really appreciate that you have paid attention to this short video. And hopefully, we will be able to get together to talk about other topics in the near future.